Should you get it? Yep. Is it good? Yep. Is it easy to install? Yep, pretty much. You might have to overlook some like really stupid like pain in the butt things, but especially even if you've never done it before. I have never done it before. I was able to do it, so if I could do it, you guys can do it.
What's up, guys? So your R3, is the throttle a little too long, and you want to shorten it up? Well, this is the mod for you. Today we are installing, and I have a R6 throttle body tube. Because thankfully, let's just throw it. That's a good idea. I caught it. Because thankfully, the R6 throttle body goes onto the R3 pretty easily, from what I've heard. Thankfully. Why would they put such a long travel on a 300cc? I'm unaware. You know, you got to give these bikes the beans if you really want to get anywhere. And with it being so far, it almost feels like you're breaking your wrist to get it throttled. The MT-03, it's not as bad just because they're actual handlebars, they're up higher, but these are clip-ons, they're a lot lower. So it's a lot more leaned over, and you really have to put your wrist in a really uncomfortable position. So the R6 is a really good mod for this. It's about 15-20% less of a twist of the throttle, so let's try it out. This is only $30. I got it off of Partzilla. Really fast shipping. I think it got here in like 2 days, and that was just the standard shipping, and that was across the United States. Really good. Really, all the parts you really need. You need a 5mm Allen. I need a 4mm Allen because I actually have Woodcraft handlebar sliders. We should be able to get that off, and then the Woodcraft lever guard is a 5mm. And then you need a small Phillips screwdriver, needle nose pliers, and some wire cutters, because there is a washer in between this rubber piece and the throttle tube that you will need to cut. We don't need that, and the R3 does not need that. So with that being said, let's get this started by taking off the handlebar sliders and the lever guards. So again, here we are. We're going to start off by taking off this screw right here. Got my trusty ratchet with my very long Allen extension, but we're going to be taking that off, and then this to get this part off. If you don't have this, don't fret. It's just a 5. You're probably going to want to get a rag around it to keep it from moving, and just loosen it up and just take it off. You will reuse them, obviously, so keep the parts, and we'll get on to the next one. Perfect. Now with that off, again, this is extended with the handlebar sliders. We are going to be taking off the screw right here, and there's another one right here. Sometimes that is it, but when this little plastic piece comes off, there might be another little screw right under there. I think some of them might be different sizes, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, they're just little screws. I think there's 2 or 3 screws, so we can get this cover off right here. Be careful of the wires from the kill switch and all these little pieces here. Otherwise, that is all. All right, with all 3 of those out, they are the same size, so actually it's not much to worry about. Now we got our throttle cables that we do have to take out. So when we use our long nose pliers, we got one here, we got one up front. The best is to take a little bit of slack out. You grab it by the cable, and then you lift up and out. Get that little ball out of there. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. Once you get those out, this could slide right off. All right, once it's off, we got our throttle cables down here. It is a little tricky. I do recommend having a little screwdriver, so maybe you could push on the fat end as you kind of pull, so you could be able to get it out and up. We're going to get our R6 throttle body tube. We are going to cut out this washer here. We do not need it. And make sure we grease up this. It's pretty greased, but I am going to put some new grease on there. You always want it greased up, so put some grease on that. And to compare, not much different to see here. I mean, but supposedly it works. So grease this up. We're going to slide it on, and you do the opposite. So make sure this back one right here, not the front one, goes on the bottom one. Top one goes on the top one. Getting them on can apparently be kind of frustrating, so with that being said, I wish you luck. All right, after you struggle immensely getting both of these throttle cables in. You're good. Make sure it's pushed up, and we can put this together and put the screws in and the bar ends, or my sliders in my case, and you are finished. Two things. Make sure it comes back to throttle even when it's turned, because it is the throttle cable. Make sure that it didn't get tightened. So if you come over here, the full lock, and it slowly does this or it stays stuck, you're going to have to adjust your throttle cables on the underside. Thankfully, mine's still good. And a little tip as well, if you can't get these in, they're very frustrating. First of all, I would say to do the front first, because it is the hardest one to reach, because the second one's always going to be harder, because then there's tension from the front or the back. So I would do the front first, since it's the hardest to reach, so you can get to the back one. It's very frustrating, and I would say if you're really struggling, try twisting the handlebars so you can get a little more slack, is what I had to use. It's very frustrating. It is not a super simple process. It's very annoying, but don't get frustrated and break it or cut the wire or fray the throttle cable. Just be patient. It will get on. It's just really frustrating. So those are my little tips for that. So we're going to get this on, put in those little 3 screws, and get it all ready. All right, folks. So to save you some time, I've been at this for a while. I'm still learning motorcycles, all that, basic maintenance and all that stuff. So down here, it has caused me a lot of problems. These clips here, these are on the newer models from 2019 and over. Right there need to be sitting in that second slot that they're in right now. That middle part, that raised part, not the first one. Or the little piece will not fit over. So those little clips up there, those little pieces need to be in line, because they were not fitting. And then finally, when I moved it there, the throttle was sticking. So I have to adjust the throttle. What you do, pull that little sheath back, loosen the nut. I'll show you here. You loosen this nut right here down, and then you screw that to follow it. So basically, the thread was like that long, and it's down to there. It was sticking really bad. Now, if I hold it in place, twist the throttle, it comes back. But you do got to make sure there's not a lot of free play. Don't like loosen it a ton where there's like a lot of free play. There's no throttle. So what I'm going to do before I get everything all finished, I will start the bike up and see at idle, is it giving it throttle on idle? If it is, obviously you need to loosen up the throttle. If not, and it's where you want it, where there's almost no free play, then you're golden. So test that out, start it out, make sure it's not revving on idle. And if it's not and your free play is good, you're good to put everything back. So just please make sure that you check this, because you don't want your throttle sticking. That's no bueno. Anytime you do like really main components like a throttle, you really have to make sure everything is tip-top shape. You really hurt yourself or other people. All right, so I got the throttle adjusted. Very, very little threads in there. Again, it used to be like that, and it was giving it throttle, it was getting stuck. And now we're all lined up down there, and the throttle has almost no free play. That's what we got. And it's not revving on idle. It's just very, very touchy now, which is what you want. It's going to be a little getting used to for sure. But now we're good to put on that last little piece on the underside and then get our handlebar sliders on, and we're finished. And just like that, we got our R6 throttle body on. You can tell by the white in there. So if you're picking up an R3 and they say they have an R6 throttle body tube, just check in the gap there. If it's white, you know that's right. If it's black, they're lying. But we got everything on, including the underneath part, the hardest part in my opinion. We got it all adjusted as well. Barely any free play whatsoever. And I tell you what, yeah. Yeah, a lot better. So we're going to go for a ride, but otherwise, that is it, guys. That is how you install an R6 throttle body. It's pretty doable. It took way longer than it's supposed to. It's usually like a 20-minute deal. I think I've been out here an hour and a half. Again, I'm a new person to bikes, working on bikes. So it took me a little longer trying to understand the ins and outs of working on motorcycles. But it is a thing that a beginner worker can do as long as you have those parts. So now we got new spark plugs in there. We have like newer tires. We have oil change. We got a coolant flush. We got a new throttle body with an adjusted cable, greased and lubed. Next up is front brakes. Rear's great. The front is a Vesra front brake. It is a ZZ. It's kind of overboard, but it is pretty far down. So I ordered some new ones. So we will be doing a front brake change. I got the same exact brake pads. I know they're a little overkill for the street, but I'm a bigger rider. So having a really good brake for this bike is good, since the stock brakes on R3s are kind of crap. So that'll be coming soon. We'll get those on, and I have a chin mount in the mail, so I can get better POV angles rather than looking down too much, and hopefully a mic soon for inside the helmet.
All right, folks, it's a few days later at this point, and I just wanted to get a few days in on the throttle tube to give you guys a real kind of decision. Is it any good? Well, let me just straight up say immediately, oh yeah. Yes, it's very much worth it. It's well worth the money. I mean, it's $30. This thing could be probably priced twice that at $60. I'm not trying to get Yamaha any ideas here, and it would still be worth it. This is a fantastic modification. So I bought this bike about almost a month ago now. It's my first bike, so I've been riding for not even a month. And I'll tell you what, this bike is not stock though, so I do got to keep that in mind. You know, it's tuned, has an exhaust, intake on it, all that stuff. That throttle tube, the stock one, was the biggest issue that I had with this bike. I understand why Yamaha did it. You know, it's a beginner bike. It's a 300cc. Everyone that's going to be riding this bike, you know, are most likely going to be beginners, other than the people that get them for track bikes. But most of the time, you know, you're getting those used. Or if you do buy it for a track bike, you already have a lot of like modifications you're gonna do. So like, I get it. What up, dude? So I get it, right? You know, you don't want new riders to whiskey throttle it, lose control, all that. Now, mind you, if you whiskey throttle an R3, you really messed up somewhere along the way. But it could happen. So I get it. But at the same time, I really hated that throttle because it's a 300cc motorcycle. If we want to be technical, it's a 321, but you know what I mean. Like, you gotta give this thing the beans, really, you know, to get it going. Not really like what we're doing at the very moment, but you know, when you're going onto highways and you need to get up to speed quickly, or maybe you don't need to, but you know, you may want to, right? You need to full throttle this. It's not like it's a 600 or forbid a liter bike. It's not like you don't need to give this thing full throttle. You need to give this thing full throttle to get it to go. So having a throttle that feels like you have to break your wrist to get there, extremely annoying. So fantastic. It took a while for me. I've never done it before. I didn't know the R3 even had 2 throttle cables. I thought it had 1. So that was interesting. It could take you anywhere from like Sorry if I'm yelling. This is the first time the mic's in my helmet, so I might be a little loud. But this could take you anywhere from like 20 minutes to like an hour and a half, like me. And most of that time came from the bottom. I was putting the throttle cables in the wrong spot for that bottom bracket piece. So as long as you don't do that, I think you're going to be fine. It would have taken me like 30, 40 minutes, and it's done. You just have to make sure you do the throttle adjustment, because this is so much shorter. You're going to need to, or it's going to stick, or it's going to be revving when you're idling, stuff like that. So you're going to need to do that. But I mean, 30 minutes, $30, $1 an hour, $1 a minute, you know, that's it. It's fantastic. I'm not going to say that it's like a world changer. Like, for sure, if you've never rode an R3 before and someone got on this, you probably wouldn't notice. So I had a long day, and it's really hot, so I'm like panting like a dog out here. But because now it feels like it should. Like, what it would feel like is how it feels to me. And now to give it full throttle, I don't have to like break my wrist to get there. So it's extremely nice not to have to like be at a really uncomfortable angle, because I feel with like the MT-03, they have the same throttle as this one. With the MT-03, it's handlebars, you know, they're a lot higher up in a more comfortable position. So I feel like you can get away with it. But here, you know, you're not as aggressive as like R6 or like a real sports bike, like a super sport, but you're still leaned over, and these are still clip-ons. So it's still, hey, new Mustang, nice. It's still clip-ons, so getting it, your wrist like basically pointing at the ground, fairly uncomfortable. So yes, I'm not going to blabber on too long. I'm just saying you should get it. It's fantastic. With that being said, I mean, guys, that is it for it. Should you get it? Yep. Is it good? Yep. Is it easy to install? Yep, pretty much. You might have to overlook some like really stupid, like pain in the butt things, but especially even if you've never done it before. I have never done it before. I was able to do it, so if I could do it, you guys can do it. So with that being said, guys, if you guys enjoyed, hit that like, that subscribe button. If you want to see more R3 content, I'm your guy. Going to be doing a lot more now, especially got the mic on the inside. And hopefully I won't be out of breath because it's so hot out. It's really hot. It doesn't look like it because it's kind of cloudy, but boy, I tell you what, I am really hot. The truck that I drive doesn't have AC, so all day I'm like roasting alive. So with that being said, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'll see you guys in another video. I hope to do a car video real soon. Otherwise, there will be another video on this, and hopefully a month review coming up real soon on this R3. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.